All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. And then, folks, there's just four teams that can still have the opportunity to claim the World Series championship for this year. Seattle Mariners and Toronto Blue Jays on the AL side, and of course, the Milwaukee Brewers and Los Angeles Dodgers on the National League side. And of course, from the American League aspect, something's going to happen that has not happened in a long time. Okay, either we're going to see the Jays get to the Fall Classic for the first time in 32 years, or the Mariners get there for the first time in franchise history. And then, of course, the Dodgers are a perennial playoff team, but this could be the first time since 1982 where we see the Milwaukee Brewers get to the Fall Classic. Now, the ALCS is set to start in about a half an hour between Seattle and Toronto. Some might say, well, why didn't I put this out earlier? Well, I wanted to see how everything from the first round was going to work out. And of course, we saw Chicago and Milwaukee go to a fifth game last night before things were decided. So I decided, you know what? Let me put this out right now, just before the ALCS gets started. I want to start off with the American League Championship Series because you look at it, and for Seattle, they really turned it on in the second half of the season in order to win the American League West. 190 games, had that first round bye, and they were pushed to the brink by the Detroit Tigers in the divisional round. And of course, with that said, you ask yourself, how much do the Mariners have left in the tank? Because it was a grueling five-game series. Game five on Friday night went 15 innings, and of course, that Mariners pitching staff was definitely taxed in that one. So tonight for game number one, Dan Wilson, the Mariners manager, is going with Bryce Miller, and he's going with him on short rest. So let's see how he's going to be up for the challenge with that one. Also for the Mariners, you look at the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. There are a lot of people who feel that he's going to be the American League's MVP for 2025. And in that five-game series against the Tigers, Raleigh hit 381 with a homer, 4 runs batted in, and he had an on-base percentage of 480. What are we going to see from Julio Rodriguez in this series? He's a guy whose bat definitely needs to come alive. And then, like I said before, with the Mariners pitching, trying to get it back on track as far as getting your rotation set. That's going to be key, in my opinion, I think, for Dan Wilson as this series progresses. On the flip side for Toronto, things have really come together for the Blue Jays this year. I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Hands down, they were arguably the most disappointing team in 2024. They went 74 and 88, finished in the basement of the American League East, only to turn it around and have a 20-game improvement in the win column in order to win the AL East. Prove that in the first round, or the divisional round rather, as they knocked out the New York Yankees, the defending American League champions, in 4 games. There's something different about this Blue Jays team. And it starts with Vlad Guerrero Jr. Vlad Guerrero Jr., in my opinion, is in the best shape of his MLB career. We saw what he did to the Yankees in that divisional round. He hit 529 with 3 home runs, 9 runs batted in, and an on-base percentage of 550. Was slugging well over 1,000. But not only that, you look at the hustle, the shape that he's got himself into for this year. We saw him get rewarded uh, not too long after the season started with that big contract. And I think as Vlad Guerrero goes, so do the fortunes of the Jays. And that's important because it looks like Bo Bichette is not going to be a go in this series once again. But then guys like Dalton Varsho, Alejandro Kirk, Ernie Clement, you can just go right up and down this lineup. Nathan Lukes, there's really not a soft spot. And the way that Toronto was hitting coming down the stretch, the way that Toronto hit in that series with the Yankees, and now the fact that they've got some rest They basically, they haven't played since last Thursday coming into tonight. So if you're Seattle, you want to try to catch them napping if they're rusty. But on the flip side, that rest could help them, especially going up against the Mariners pitching staff that has been used a lot. And the fact that Toronto was able to close out the Yankees in 4 games, of course, Seattle and Detroit went to 5. It's now given Blue Jays manager John Schneider an opportunity to go out there and get his uh, his pitching rotation set. We're going to see Gossman tonight. We're going to see the youngster Yasevich tomorrow for Game 2, and then Shane Bieber for Game 3 on Wednesday when the series shifts to the Pacific Northwest. I like it like this. I think this is going to be a very, very exciting series. I think with Seattle, definitely you want to go out there if you're the Mariners, steal a game in Toronto before you head home for Game 3. Both of these stadiums are going to be electric. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I just worry about the Mariners pitching, especially coming in to start this series after they were taxed so much in that series with the Tigers, especially in game number 5. So when it's all said and done, I like Toronto to win the American League Pennant in 6 games. And on the flip side, with the National League, like I said, Dodgers, they're looking to get back to the World Series for the second consecutive year, and they're trying to become the first team since the 2000 Yankees to repeat as World Series champions. But they got to go through the Milwaukee Brewers first. And of course, Milwaukee, they're looking to get to the Fall Classic for the first time since 1982. This is the first time since 2018 that they made the National League Championship Series. That year, of course, they lost again to the Los Angeles Dodgers. For Milwaukee, it's one of those where some people might feel like the Brewers are a team of destiny. And I think it starts with their manager, Pat Murphy. He took over after Craig Counsell decided to leave several years ago and become the skipper of the Chicago Cubs. But nonetheless, I look at the Brewers. They do all of the little things on the baseball field and they don't beat themselves. Fundamental baseball at its best. And when you have a team like that, they're definitely going to have an opportunity to be in things. I look at this Brewers lineup. You look at the likes of William Contreras, Jake Bowers, Bryce Durang, Jackson Churio. We can go right up and down the list. And they put so much stress on an opposing pitching staff. Like the Mariners, the Brewers were extended to 5 games in their first round series before they get started tomorrow against the Dodgers. And on the flip side, for the Dodgers, I look at it like this. They came into the postseason very hot. We saw them take care of the Reds in 2 games. They jumped on the Phillies for 2 games at Citizens Bank before they split the 2 games out of Dodger Stadium. It's one of those things outside of the Red Series. The Dodgers as a whole have not been playing well, and yet and still they're still in the National League Championship Series, which is scary because I'm looking at this Dodgers lineup and I see Teoscar Hernandez. This guy was built for the spotlight as far as playing in the postseason, and of course, he just has a knack for going out there and getting the big hits. For the Dodgers to keep this thing going, some other guys have to get it going. Shohei Ohtani has not had a great postseason so far for Los Angeles. That has got to change. What are they going to get out of the likes of Andy Pages, who was so key for the Dodgers during the regular season? But then you have guys like Mookie Betts, a vet, who's been swinging a hot bat. Max Muncy, another solid veteran. Freddie Freeman. So you can go right down the list for this Dodgers team. They've got to get it going offensively. And then I look at this Dodgers pitching staff and the fact that they were able to close out the Phillies in 4 games, and of course, like I said, the Brewers went to 5. It's giving them an opportunity to get their pitching setups, pitching lineup set for this series. You got Blake Snell going in game number 1, and of course, Blake Snell has been so solid for the Dodgers coming down the stretch. Yamamoto in game number 2 against Freddie Peralta, the Brewers ace. So the pitching matchups are definitely going to be key. I think the bullpens are going to be very important in this one. And of course, Freddie Peralta is coming back after he pitched twice in that first round series with the Cubs. But like I said, it's really going to come down to the bullpens in this one. So if you're the Dodgers, okay, you got to have some confidence coming into the series. However, Milwaukee swept you during the regular season, and I mean they won all 6 games. Okay, and when the first time around when they swept the Dodgers, the Brewers did, a lot of people weren't paying attention to it because the Brewers really didn't start to get it going at that point. But then after the second time that they swept the Dodgers, it was like, you know what, you need to start paying attention to this team, and I think people definitely now have to pay attention to the Brewers as they finished the regular season with the best record. For the Dodgers, I think it's going to be imperative for them to try to go out there and do what they did against the Phillies, which is steal a game uh, in Milwaukee and maybe possibly get 2. I think stealing 1 game as opposed to getting both games in Milwaukee is, I think, more realistic for this Dodgers team. I think what LA needs to do, they want to go out there and jump on the Brewers early and take the crowd out of the game. And I think Blake Snell has to go out there and set the tone on the mound in game number 1 and really put the clamps on this Brewers lineup, which is easier said than done. Nonetheless, though, I think we are in store for 2 good series. On the National League side, you've got Dave Roberts, a guy who has 2 World Series championships, going up against Pat Murphy. There's a lot of respect between both of these skippers, and it's going to come down to the skippers, and it's going to come down to the bullpens. And if the Dodgers can find a way to take a game in Milwaukee, I like their chances. But if the Brewers hold serve at home, the Dodgers are going to be hard pressed to try to go out there and win 4 out of 5 from this team over the last 5 games of the series. I think it's going to be a back and forth affair, but when it's all said and done, I do like the Dodgers to get back to the World Series in 6 games. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up, and those are my picks for both the American and National League Championship Series. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw on this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. And like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. And definitely continue to check out this channel for the MLB throughout the MLB playoffs, as I have plenty to say on both the ALCS, NLCS, and of course the World Series. So if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, be sure to check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'd be my pleasure to follow you right back. And the same goes for Instagram, where you could check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you are on Facebook, be sure to check out the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.